both combined are the perfect Tim Apple user.
Okay.
Because
how is that?
you got you got a Series 8 watch, correct?
Right. Yep.
And then...
Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it.
Unusual for you.
Well, yeah. No, it's just the battery life is horrific on this thing. Like I don't like having to charge this every day and I need to get a fast charger. I guess apparently it needs like a 30-watt charger or something to do. I have to look that up. I thought that wasn't the case, but man, if this thing was down to 0, it would take 90 minutes. Is that right? Yeah. It would take 90 minutes to fully charge it. Like of course it never goes down to 0, but it took me an hour and 15 minutes ish to go from 23% to 100% yesterday. Like I don't have that much time. Like I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
I don't know. I charge mine
a lot about it. I like the data.
Yeah.
The data and the data collection and presentation. And also, remember when Microsoft had the band and like they had this dream. They were like, one day, what this thing is going to do is, we know about your all your health metrics from this thing with all the sensors on it, which everything has now, but nothing did then. And we also know about your your work day, right? Mm-hmm. And like we're going to be able to say stuff like, hey, we noticed that you have a meeting every Thursday and that like half an hour before that meeting, your heart rate starts going up. So what we're going to do is proactively say, hey, you should do some meditation, go for a walk, something to calm you down. And they called it, proactive intelligence or something like that. I just forgot the term. It was something like that. Apple Watch kind of does that. It doesn't predict, it doesn't say, hey, you have a meeting, not like that. But it actually does. Oh, no, it's called actionable intelligence. That was the term. And it actually does provide actionable information. Like it will, like some of its notifications, you're like, I don't know. But there's more going on here than there is with Fitbit, which I'm actually a little surprised by. And the presentation of the data is better and potentially more useful, if that makes sense. I like that part of it. If I keep it, it's going to be for the data stuff, You know this. I mean, it does all the extra Apple stuff, right? You can sign into your phone with it. You can control your Apple TV with it. You can. I haven't done this yet, but I think you could answer a phone call on it or something or whatever. You can do all that stuff. So it's amusing to me still when I hear a voice on my wrist saying something. Like we're walking up the hill this morning and I can hear a woman talking on my wrist, and I look down and it's telling me something about the walk we're on. I don't know. Anyhow, but what do you get?
So I didn't get anything. Well, I did. Oh, I mean, like I picked it up. So this is I actually texted Paul over the weekend. So this is for my wife, 14 Pro, which I bring it home.
Take it out of the box yet?
Yeah, that's sort of the point. So I bring it home and I'm like, hey, because we had talked about it. I was like,
Sure.
It's like your phone is 3 years old. You're maxed out on storage. I know we can delete stuff, but my wife digital hoarder wants everything local, even though it's all backed up in Google. That's aside from the point. Different argument, different time. Anyways, so she needed more storage because her old one was the 128, so this is the 256, whatever. We're going on some trips. Fine. So I pick it up and bring it home. I'm like, hey, you want to move to this? And she's like, I'll do it later, maybe tomorrow. And I'm like, excuse me?
No. What are you talking about?
Are you trying to torture me?
Yeah, my wife would do the same thing.
So several hours went by, and then finally she went out, and the holdup was she needed a new case, and she didn't want to use it without a case. And she's like, I'm not opening that thing until I have another case. I'm like, you can go get a case.
I understand that. Yeah.
So anyways, for her, it's a massive upgrade because she's going from 11 to a 14 Pro. I will tell you, in no uncertain terms, she
had 11 non-Pro.
Yes, 11 non-Pro.
Yeah, so that's a huge upgrade.
In no uncertain terms, I don't think she cares at all about the dynamic island.
The only thing I would care to do would see what I could do to disable some of it. I don't like the idea of something moving around that much. Yeah. Look, you can present notifications or picture-in-picture displays in different ways. Honestly, the presentation of that is not horrible to me and is something that should just be on every iPhone and probably iPad eventually, right? It makes sense. Actually, it would make more sense on an iPad if you think about it. You could have like a third of the screen or something. But it's literally the dynamic nature of it, which is, of course, in the name, which I would have a problem with. I don't like little things moving around. when I'm looking at a phone or whatever.
It's got that as like little cute anime. But I'll tell you candidly, when I went and bought this, like, man, maybe I should just get two, like one for myself. And I'm really happy after having played with hers for more than about 19 seconds. I'm like,
you have a 13 Pro, right? Yeah,
which
look,
I will tell you, Paul, throughout right now.
I know.
I think the 13 Pro is taking better photos than the 14 Pro.
Oh,
I've taken a couple.
Well, look, you suffer from this. Look, I wrote. You wouldn't have seen this probably, but on Monday. Last Monday in the newsletter, I wrote about this. Like this, look, I've been reviewing hardware for 25 years, but I still succumb to some of the marketing type stuff, and Apple's really good at it, right? So
they're the best.
Every time an Apple event comes around, I spend a lot of time going back. I go to the Apple website, I configure something, how much I get entered, and what does this look like? It's a little too expensive. I can't do it. But it's dumb because in this case in particular, I think we need some maturity in this dynamic island thing that will happen over the next year.
Mm-hmm.
The camera situation isn't that big of an upgrade. I should write about this, but one thing I really am not a fan of right now is that now all of the big three phone makers for me that I would consider because of camera quality, which is the Apple iPhone, obviously the Samsung S whatevers, well, the Ultra version of the S22 like my wife has now, or the Pixel Pro, all have a large megapixel main sensor, like dramatically bigger than before. So they used to all be like 12 megapixels ish. The one on that is what, 48
or something,
probably 48. It's on the, I'm gonna forget the numbers. On the Pixel, it's 50 something, I think, and on the Samsung, it's 108. Like great, and they do pixel binning, and you end up with a 12 megapixel, photo, and it looks great, and blah 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 whatever. But the other parts of those camera systems have been completely ignored. On the Pixel side, they're basically using the same thing they had the previous year. I don't know about Samsung, and it doesn't really matter. But the Samsung's always had tremendous zoom, whatever. Maybe that doesn't matter so much. But, someday Apple's going to come out with a periscope zoom, finally, that Huawei had in 2018, maybe earlier. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. Dramatically better on that end of the camera system. So I don't feel like the main camera was the problem ever. So doing that, like, to me, it means nothing. Like the iPhone 13, 12, 11 even Pro, that main camera sensor was great. It was great.
Yep.
So for most photos you take, it's great. And so like that improvement doesn't amount to anything. And then there's the eSIM issue in the United States. It's all eSIM. And
dude. So let's stop there for a second.
That is a problem.
Let's stop there for a second. So you follow the prompts on the screen. My phone did not activate. I had to call
so
Verizon.
that was a bug in iOS 16, by the way.
No. This was post-update. It would not see my phone.
There was a bug. Like they were literally having people have this problem you're describing.
Well, it happened to me.
That's a bug. That's just a bug. Like, so I don't mean to say that didn't ruin the day, but I mean like that's something that will be fixed. Like, but the thing that can't be fixed, the thing that has to evolve in the wider industry is that eSIM needs to become more prevalent. Now in the United States, stick with the big carriers, even some of the small carriers. I did eSIM with Mint, and I just researched this, so I know you can do eSIM. Like Google Fi does eSIM, not on a data SIM though. By the way, you can get data SIMs on Google Fi, but the data SIMs, not eSIMs. But I go to Mexico a lot, and if I go into AT&T, I can get an eSIM. In fact, I did, but they sell eSIMs or SIMs, in the airport. They sell SIMs in OXXOs, which are sort of like 7-Elevens. I don't know. I'm guessing eSIM availability is not going to be very high in places like that. And that really limits what you're able to do, or it limits what I'm able to do. So I appreciate that the whole world is going to eSIM. There's no doubt about it. But this is a lot like what Apple does all the time, like the floppy drive on the iMac or whatever, they're getting rid of headphones, whatever you want to say. Like they're always a little too early. And honestly, where I am in life right now, like that actually is kind of a deal breaker. It's kind of a weird thing to, scratch the record on. But, and I know, and you'll find people online defending this, like it's the greatest idea in the world, how this is, everything I just said is completely wrong, except I'm not completely wrong because I've been to these places and it's a problem. So I don't know, like a year from now, maybe 2 years from now, this conversation will be different. But anyway, it's hard because like like you, right? I know you spent time. I know you did. We didn't talk about this, but I know you went to Apple's website and you're like, maybe. you know, and you might still do it. You might still pull the trigger like 2-3
No.
months from now, whatever. But whatever. I mean, but I'm glad. I mean, no, I'm not glad. I don't really care. But I mean, it's nice when you don't have to buy something.
Yeah. Now the other side of it is, both my wife and I still our Apple Watches are 4s.
Yeah.
But we both looked at the new ones and we're still like, eh.
All right, so I don't know. See, I don't know enough. I don't know enough about Apple Watches. So before I bought this, actually, it might have been after I made the purchase on Friday, I went back and rewatched the Apple Watch Series 8 part of this month's presentation. In watching it, I was sort of now it's in my head. I either bought it or I was going to buy it, and I was like, all right, I don't know enough about this. And it doesn't, honestly, if I think about what they're saying, it doesn't seem like all that much has changed. So I should go back and watch the Apple Watch Series 7 from a year ago. And I did. Same thing. I'm like, okay. Well, I should go back and watch the Apple Watch Series 6 thing from the year before that. And I did. And it was the same thing. I'm like, this is not changing a lot year to year, you know? Like at some point, it must have been Series 5. I think they added ECG. Whatever year that was. At some point, they added an always-on display. At some point, I think the screen got bigger. I mean, I know the screen got bigger, so I don't know. That must have been after 4, I guess.
Yep.
I have to say, I just disabled the on-screen display, the always-on display, because I want to see how it impacts battery life. I don't miss that at all. In fact, I don't even understand what the point of it is. Well, yeah, for the most part, I'm used to flicking my wrist to see stuff because that's what you do on Fitbit.
Yep.
So to me, this is just normal, and it doesn't bother me not having that. So one of the reasons I went with the Series 8 was for the always-on display. And now that I know that it doesn't matter, I'm like, maybe I could have gotten an SE. And the other big thing was the size. I was always like, I want the biggest one, you know? I'm a big guy. I've got big, thick wrists, you know? This thing's a little big. I think I could have gotten by with the smaller one. I think I could have gotten by with the SE. And that kind of begs the point. Like, I don't know, Series 4, you said, to SE today or whatever. I don't really know what the difference. I bet it's not that different.
No, it's probably not.
So I don't know. I don't know what you would, if you listed out the things you would gain. It's probably like blood oxygen, ECG, crash detection, always on display, which you shouldn't use anyway.
The defining factor will not be, I can almost promise you, any feature. It's the battery life. I mean, we're coming up on
there you go.
4 years old on these things. We'll see how they last through.
So actually, okay, I meant to ask you this privately, but how do you handle charging this thing?
Oh, it's easy. So every night, on my nightstand, I have a charger where you put your phone in your watch.
Okay. Is it like a wireless?
Like I don't sleep. Now this is
you don't do sleep detection.
Yeah, I don't do sleeping.
There you go. So if you don't care about sleep, you're all set, because that's the obvious time to do it.
Yep.
I do care about sleep, although it's like almost like I like to torture myself because I don't really sleep that well. So all I do is I wake up and they're like, should I call the doctor? I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know. I don't even know why I check my sleep. It's just disappointing every day.
I will tell you too, because you brought it up and I forgot about it. The always on display on this thing, first thing that I turned off.
Real interesting.
It's
that
terrible.
was a feature that had been missing from the iPhone, forever.
It's when you have a watch, it's completely useless for multiple reasons. But and maybe I should have given it more time. Granted, it's not even my phone; it's my wife's. But just like getting it set up, like the phone is on. It's always on, which is annoying because then you're looking at it going like, why is it not shutting off?
Now I've only seen what they showed in the presentation, so I will say, Android has had, Pixel certainly has had, and Samsung, whoever, has had this for many years. They don't turn the whole display on like Apple's doing. Like the way I understand it is on the iPhone, you're actually seeing like the lock screen image and other stuff, but dim.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And it's like the always on display on the Pixel shows the time, like light gray on black or medium gray on black or something. It's really dim. And I think a couple of notification type things if they're there, and that's it. Like you don't see pictures and goofy stuff. Like that's honestly probably a better implementation because it's just always in the corner of your eye, and it's. I think Apple is congenitally damned to always do things differently. You know, that they look at something like an always on display that some other companies have done, and they say, okay, how can we do more than this? or do something different anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not always the best approach. I don't know. Maybe you can configure it. Maybe there's a way to go in there and say, turn this on, turn this off, that kind of thing. I don't know. But yeah, I understand that. My iPhone's sitting here right now, display up, it's completely off. You tap it when you want to see something, it comes on, goes right off. Yeah, that's how just like the watch. Like, as it turns out, I don't want my wrist like over here with this thing on. Like, that doesn't serve a purpose,
Yep.
But when I flip it around, it comes right on. By the way, that works great. Now Siri thinks I'm talking to her. Siri. It's just funny. They still use Siri.